with me. It's time to stand up tall and say some things about the shitty world that we're living in. The boys at Raconteurs News. I say Raconteurs, Raconteurs, say Raconteurs, Raconteurs. I said Raconteurs News, Raconteurs News, Raconteurs News. Raconteurs News, Raconteurs News. Oh yeah.
Good evening and welcome to Raconteurs Extra this Wednesday night. It is Wednesday the 32nd of October. My name is Jason Holmes and we are here. I'm calling it Raconteurs Extra because last night, because I was at the football, there's no Raconteurs News, but I think you deserved a little bit more entertainment from here. Just one or two things I just want to go through before we start. You're listening to Raconteurs Extra. We are broadcasting through Spreaker, Spreaker.com if you want to have a listen there. Also, I'd like to encourage people to go to raconteursnews.com. You can create an account there, and that'll be your name in the chat room. You'll be able to go into the chat room, and please do go into the chat room and say hello, even if it's anonymously. We really enjoy the interaction. So, yes, that's Spreaker.com if you're having problems with Raconteurs News. But please go to raconteursnews.com and sign up for an account. It doesn't cost you anything. We don't take all your details and sell them to, ISIS. But what we will do is what we're trying to do is we're trying to build up some sort of news network. And at this point, I want to talk about donations as well, because we don't want any. Just keep them to yourself. We don't want any donations. If you want to donate something, please feel free to do so. But all these sites, they're always asking for donations. We're not going to ask for donations. I know that's like me vicariously asking for donations, but it's not really. We'll accept them, but we're not honours way out. We're here and we will fund whatever we do. I'd like to say as well a big hello and get well soon to Patrick. Now, Patrick is one of our regulars in the chat room. Patrick takes a lot of the advice that we get here on Raconteurs News on board, and he's a great supporter of the show simply by listening and contributing in the chat room. Unfortunately, Patrick has suffered a heart attack. And I'm not talking recently. I am talking recently, but not recently like today. But he's suffered. I'm not going to say suffered. He's had a heart attack, because suffered implies that you were consenting to it. But he's had a heart attack, and he's had a double bypass. So Patrick, if you're listening over there in Ireland, please get well soon. And big love here coming from here for you and all your family as well. So get well soon, Patrick. Anyway, let's get back to tonight. We've got Andrew K. Fletcher back. And now I know that you know that he was on only a couple of weeks ago, very, very recently, but there's been some huge, major and very, very exciting developments that's happened in the last couple of weeks. So we've only got an hour tonight. It's Raconteurs Extra. I've only got an hour tonight. I've got something that I need to deal with a little bit later on. So we've got an hour and perhaps maybe 5 or 10 minutes longer than that. But we've got Andrew K. Fletcher back. He's got some very, very exciting news, and he wants to make an appeal as well. But don't worry, this is not going to cost you any money. This is just going to be your information. So hello to you, the man that's completely changed our lives here at Raconteurs News. Not only the people that you can see, or the producer Andy, who used to be my co-host, but also our partners and our friends as well. And he's of course a self-confessed yam, but he's down in Somerset at the moment. So good evening, Andrew. How are you doing?
Good evening, Jace. Good evening, Andy. Yeah, I'm doing okay. firing on all cylinders.
You're okay. So I saw this the other day, and you made a statement, I think, or you wrote down that this is the thing that you've been all the years that you've been promoting inclined bed therapy. This is what you've been doing it for, and
yes.
We're not at the end of the road, but this is certainly you. I say us, I mean you, but we are advocates of inclined bed therapy at Raconteurs News. We wouldn't live without it. But it's something that you've been working for a number of years. Why don't you go into what's happened and what the implications are?
Yeah, for 23 years, I've been bashing my head up against a wall, trying to get mainstream medicine to look into my findings. Approached many charities over the years, been fobbed off, vested interests, which I've mentioned before. Loads of promises from doctors. One lady, in fact, who has MS, was wheelchair bound and says, if you can get me out of the wheelchair and back to work, she said, I'll be shouting this from the rooftops. Well, I did, and she didn't. And that's just the way it went all the years. Loads of promises, nothing ever happens. And you think each time I've done enough now, I can ease back a little bit and let it take off. But no, it's never going to be the case up until recently. Now, I got contacted by email by a Dr. J.P. Tor, who's an NHS doctor working out from Marseille in France. And oddly enough, it has to take somebody from France or Germany or Belgium. It's never going to be a British doctor. And what he's done, he's set up a website, and it's called yourmedicalresearch.com. So it's worth remembering that.
Right.
Yourmedicalresearch.com. And he set it up because he wants to investigate discoveries that come from outside of universities and outside of the medical profession that are showing a great deal of promise. He's obviously been all over my website because here we go again. His own website.
That's okay. You go and if you need to go and deal with the dog, go and deal with the dog. Go and give him a biscuit or something and keep him quiet. If that's what you need to do.
Oh, she should be all right now.
Sorry, she.
Yeah.
I don't want to. You see, there you go. That's one of the things. The progressives would be all over me, won't they? I assumed your dog's identity, and I think I did that from the pitch of its bark.
Yes. Yeah, she's a bit of a nutter, is our Olive. Yeah. Great bird.
Yeah, go on, carry. Yeah, carry. So he's got this website.
Yeah, he's set up a website for investigating anything that's got potential, really, from outside of the box. And he's picked up on inclined bed therapy, fortunately, which is the first investigation from this site. And it's an online entry form, which you fill in. It's all anonymous, so you don't have to give your name and any details. All he's interested in is the data. There is a little bit of a hiccup with the form, so if you enter the form and it doesn't go through the first time, and then because you've made a mistake filling it in or you've missed a question, then enter it again, but wait 30 seconds, and then it should go through, because I've had a few reports back from people that are entering the data, and the form's getting rejected. Nevertheless,
don't you think that's a good sign, though? Because that means that there's a lot of people, perhaps that's the reason why, is that there are a lot of people trying to post testimonies.
Well, I wish that would be the case, but knowing how lazy people are, yeah, we are getting quite a few reports in, but as for thousands and thousands of reports bombarding him, that's highly unlikely.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, over the years, I've learned that, if you ask 100 people to tilt the beds, you'd be lucky to get 5 that'll do it.
Right.
And out of those 5, you'll be lucky to get 1 that gives you feedback. So it's been a long old struggle, but nevertheless, we are getting the forms filled in. He's also asking people to tilt the beds and start from day one, not just long-term IBTers, but also people that are just starting out. You don't have to be sick, so anybody could do it. He wants to know what the physiological effects are from tilting the bed, which for me is absolutely fantastic news. And the idea behind this is that he's going to use the data that is collected on the form to present a case, to have the IBT conducted in clinical trials, and then with a view to have it implemented into the NHS in France, which for me is absolutely massive.
So, do they have an NHS in France? I'm sorry, I'm not au fait with the medical system in France.
Well, I'm not sure either, but if we go to Spain, you can get treated for free in Spain. So I would imagine other EU countries have a similar system.
But whatever, whether it's an NHS or whatever, it's definitely a step forward, isn't it? This guy, is he a medical doctor?
Yes, he is a medical doctor, and I forget what his PhD was in. I think it was in viruses.
All right.
But what he's wrote to me is that there has to be ways of improving people's health and actually having a preventative measure rather than just a measure for correcting illnesses. Mm-hmm. He wants something that can bolster the health and help prevent the bombardment, in the hospitals from patients, especially in flu season. We're very, very excited about this. Very excited.
So give us the name of that website again.
It's called yourmedicalresearch.com.
Yourmedicalresearch.com. So if anybody's on an incline bed, it would be very handy for them to go to that website and fill in a testimony on what effect it's had on the health, whether it's good or bad, whether it's good or indifferent.
There is a couple of, whether it's good or indifferent or bad, there is a space for you to add more details, but there is a checklist, so it's fairly simple to fill in. It's just a line of tick boxes with questions to fill in. He says the one part of the form takes 5 minutes. The final part of the form takes 15 minutes. So it's not a great deal of time to spend filling in a form, especially with it having so much potential to lower the burden on our own NHS as well as the NHS systems overseas.
Yeah, and 20 minutes is quite a long time for people, especially in this day and age. It's quite a long time for people to concentrate and to be filling something in. Yeah,
15 minutes.
How many have you had so far? Do you know? Have you got?
I've no idea. It's the doctor's study. I've nothing to do with it.
Right.
He has to stay impartial as well. Can't even mention my name on his site, or indeed my website. Although he has used incline bed therapy, which anyone researching it will go straight to my website and of course to all the interviews that we've uploaded to podcast and also onto YouTube.
Well, in the chat room we've got Mithrin. Who, hello Mithrin. Sorry you missed the show on Monday. You were a little bit late. I'm sorry about that. You're taking a bit of time to get used to the new 7:00 start. Mithrin, he said he's on day 20 of inclined bed therapy. And also he's made a comment as well in the chat room. You may be able to get treated in Spanish hospital, but not fed. It is expected your family will bring food in, which, I've not been in a Spanish hospital, but touch wood yet. Although I've been close, especially on this last holiday that I went on when I fell over and completely gammed my leg up. But touch wood, I didn't need hospital treatment. No,
it's a little bit of a worry when you're overseas, especially when you watch the programs we do with the in Mallorca with the hospital. Yeah.
So, well, if the let's just say that the French authorities or the French healthcare system took on inclined bed therapy, then we're starting to talk about a snowball situation, aren't we? Right. We're going to start to talk about a snowball situation.
Well, what is interesting in also is proving the theory behind IBT. So once that's proven, and there's no reason why it shouldn't be proven, I can't see any errors in it, then it causes people to question, the current literature. So the snowball effect is going to be massive.
Yeah.
Providing it doesn't get bumped off before it comes to fruition. Yeah.
Yeah, but that's the problem, innit? We're up against, well, you're up against, I mean, I'm not up against them because I do incline bed therapy. I do incline my bed. In fact, I don't even call it therapy. I think it's just well-being, incline bed well-being. So it will, sorry, I've lost my train of thought. I think I've forgot. I've got a question for you, and I've just completely forgot it. I don't know what that is. But yeah, so the implications are quite huge, aren't they? But again, you've got the conditioning that people have got, where we know that the pharmaceutical companies are going to rally against it. You're going to have trolls that are going to go on to this website and say, oh, it did nothing for me, or it made me even worse, or it killed somebody, or whatever. So we're up against that, aren't we? How do you think we're going to overcome the conditioning that people have had? It's going to be results, isn't it? But again, it's people getting access to those results because everything seems to be censored.
The problem with medical research today is that it goes through sites which you have to subscribe to these sites, and in order to view the papers. So that means they're hidden from the public.
Yeah.
Just Joe Public's not going to dip his hand in his pocket to have a look at a paper that might be of some use. So that's another pitfall. Is that the way it's set up? But there's been a movement away from this towards more open journals, where the papers are actually viewable online, and there's no subscription, and there's large calls for this to happen, and for this to be rolled out. So hopefully the timing of this study will be used to great effect with an open publication.
What's the name of this doctor that's doing the research?
Dr. Jean-Pierre Tour, T-O-R-R-E.
Jean-Pierre Tour, T-O-R-R-E.
Yeah, J.P. Tour.
Oh, right.
He's on Twitter, and he said he's open for people to contact him directly through the website.
You wouldn't have his Twitter handle, would you, by any chance?
I can find it. Just 1 second.
Okay, you find it, and I'll just tell everybody you're listening to Raconteurs Extra. My name's Jason Holmes. I'm with Andrew K. Fletcher. We're talking about this very exciting new study that Jean-Pierre Tour, who's from France, who's in the French healthcare system, he's doing a study of different therapies that preventative therapies, I think we could call them. We've got Mithran against just said the more genuinely therapeutic a treatment, the more resistance it will suffer from the system, which I think we both agree with on that count.
Yeah, I've found his handle. It's JP Della, D-E-L-A T-O-R-R-E, JP Della Tour.
Right, okay. So can you spell that for me again? Sorry. JP Della.
Yeah. JP
Yep.
Della, D-E-L-A T-O-R-R-E. And his page is headed The Health Antenna.
Okay, so that's on Twitter. You can get him at JP Della Tour. So if you want to ask any questions or do anything like that, ask him about his study and what he's studying. You can ask him on Twitter, and he may just respond to you.
Just hang on. I need to correct. I've read that wrong.
Okay.
I've actually. I can't believe I've done that. Right. I'm clicking on. I should have clicked. I'm not actually Twitter literate yet. I don't think.
You're not exactly.
If you search, it's Dr. JP Twitter literate.
Dr. JP.
It's Dr. JP Tour. Sorry, Doctor T-O-R-R-E, and you'll know you're on there because it'll have the health antenna.
Right. Okay. So at Dr. JP Tour, and that's on Twitter. Anybody can ask him all any kind of questions about his studies and all that sort of thing.
Yes. Yeah, he'd be very interested to hear from people.
So, out of your, I mean, recently, I mean, we only spoke a couple of weeks ago, but recently, have we got any new developments? Anybody else come forward with anything?
Yeah, there's I can never remember the name of the condition. It's a lung condition, very similar to cystic fibrosis.
Right.
It's called brachiostasis, or something like,
Brachiostasis.
or something like that. But it causes a lot of infected mucus to form in the lungs, the lining of the lungs, and the rest of the respiratory tract. Causes sinus problems and nasal drip. And we're getting some great results within a few weeks. She's breathing better than ever. And interestingly as well, for lung conditions, this is one condition where the doctors actually recommend you raise the bed up, because there's been many papers published now on pneumonia induced by surgery or induced by respirators. And they've realised that if you've got the bed raised, you're less likely to get pneumonia, which, you know, that's quite an important issue for a lot of people, as pneumonia is one of the leading causes of deaths for patients that enter hospitals.
But pneumonia is usually, my understanding anyway, I'm not a doctor, I've never studied medicine, but pneumonia usually perhaps expires somebody who's got another condition at the same time. And they die from pneumonia. Am I right in that, or am I just completely way off? Because I've only watched Quincy a few times. That's my medical training.
Yeah, it's a bacterial infection in the lungs, pneumonia. So it can be spread as well.
Right.
And it's usually, well, it can be hospital acquired.
Yeah. A lot of people do acquire that in hospital. Yeah, don't they? Yeah, like these superbugs and. With what is it, MRSA?
Yes.
People, I know my auntie who had Crohn's disease and had, I'm going back a long way now to the year 2000, but she was in hospital for a long time, years and years and years. She were in hospital, and she got her stomach had been removed, and she eventually died from MRSA, and she was only 34 at that time.
Oh, wow.
But I just wondered whether I'm just wondering whether I'm like 15 years, sorry, even less, even more than that, probably 20 years too late, because if I'd have known about inclined bed therapy at that time. She had Crohn's disease, and her stomach was removed, and all her intestines were removed bit by bit. So, you know, until she had none left and her stomach was left open. So if I used to go around to the hospital and take her a Big Mac, because she enjoyed the McDonald's, the food and everything, but then I'd be hoovering out her stomach while she were eating it. So it's I just wish that I'd been able to say to her, incline your bed and you'll get a load better. Oh, so people are dying needlessly, aren't they? You know, for things that can be prevented, yes, rather than cured. And even when they arrive, they can be treated by this as well.
Yes. Well, somebody coined the phrase, I forget who it is now, my apologies, but they coined the phrase flatbed syndrome, which, yeah, it is very real. And I think that, you know, over the years, we've managed to put quite a few medical conditions into that umbrella. Multiple sclerosis, Parkinson's, cerebral palsy we've put in there, spinal cord injuries we've put in there. They're not responding to flat beds, but when the bed's tilted, that they certainly respond.
Antiphospholipid syndrome as well, you can put
another
that on
one,
there
yes.
Well. Yeah. Which is has similar symptoms to multiple sclerosis, but yes, I've noticed a huge improvement, particularly in my sleep. I used to wake up with a numb leg. I've got a blood clot behind my right knee, so mobility is difficult for me anyway. But when I slept on a flatbed, I used to have my leg out. Every so often, I'd have to take my leg out and put it on the floor at the side of the bed, you know. So I'd take my leg out and I put it on the side of the floor, and just to get some more blood into it. But now I don't have to do that. And
so actually, you'd realise the importance of gravity there.
Yes, oh yeah, absolutely. I'd realised, but I'd not equated it with tilting the entire bed.
Yes.
And as well, I had to up until I inclined my bed, because of this blood clot in my leg, and because of my poor circulation due to the APS, I always had to wear socks in bed, and no matter what it was, whether it was the middle of the summer, I always had to have a hot water bottle. Now I sleep without socks on in bed, and I've not had a hot water bottle for yonkers. So, you know, for me, the Latin phrase would be res ipsa loquitur, which means the facts speak for themselves.
Yes. Yeah. Interesting. Very, very interesting.
Yeah. My feet and hands. Well, you know the change. Andy knows the change that happened in me after that. I mean, I was months down the line from a heart attack, and I was a skeleton. I were a complete skeleton. I was just waiting to die, really. And then we inclined the bed, and my wife inclined the bed. Actually, she'd listened to a couple of the shows, been sat behind me, and like you said earlier on, people are lazy.
Yeah.
And I will put myself in that category. I am the laziest git in the world. If I don't have to do something, I won't do it. She raised the bed up, and then, boom. The next morning, I felt a lot better. And increasingly, gradually, as I went along and the days went along, it takes a bit of getting used to, but I got better and better and better and better and better. And it also reduced my wife's migraines. I even think we lost weight through it.
No, that's entirely. Well, funnily enough, there's an initial shift from fat to muscle, which is confusing when you start looking into it, because you think, well, actually I've gained weight, but your clothes become looser. So you think, well, hang on, what's going on? How can I be putting weight on, and yet I'm losing I'm losing fat? So that's because muscle weighs more than fat.
Yeah.
So if you convert fat into muscle, then and the classic example of this is a guy called Harry, who I met, and he has a condition that I couldn't even attempt to say. It's called brachiocondrodysplasia punctata.
All right, that sounds like something from Narnia.
How about that for one? Yeah. Well, it's a rare genetic condition, and the people that have this condition are known to not be able to put muscle mass on. So swimming for them is nigh on impossible, because they haven't got enough meat on the bone for buoyancy. And this guy, Harry, is swimming. He's actually gained so much muscle he can swim. And when I met him, he said, I was in a pub, and he said, "You see that dartboard there?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "If I'd walked to that dartboard, I would have to rest by the time I got to the dartboard. And he'd be out of breath, So he's got poor respiration problems, suffers with constant chest infections, constant urine infections. He's even had bedwetting. So his bedwetting stopped. He very seldom gets any problems with respiratory infections. He seems to be more healthy than the rest of his family are. He's able to walk huge distances now without stopping. He's gained muscle. He's singing. And he was even entering for the X Factor as a singer.
Oh wow! Well, we won't see him on there then, will we?
Well, I don't think he got through the trial period.
Right.
But the fact that he can do this, and like I said, he couldn't even walk to the dartboard without having a rest. That's, to me, is just mind blowing. He's a lovely lad as well. Really is a lovely lad.
Right, we've got a couple more comments from the chat room. Mithrin says, "Does this mean we have to start being nice to the French?" I think that's in reference to the guy that's doing the study. And I'm pretty sure Andy said no. In fact, I can see him shaking his head now. Andy, my producer, who's producing tonight, I can see him shaking his head. We don't want to be nice to the French. I don't mind everybody. I don't mind anybody And he's also put, anytime you have consistently wet lungs, you are susceptible to pneumonia.
Yes. Well, that's interesting as well, because we proved that the body temperature goes up on an incline. So on a normal flatbed, around 3:30 in the morning, your body temperature will dip by 2 degrees. And that's right across the board for everyone, that there is that dip of 2 degrees, 1 to 2 degrees.
Yeah.
But my wife and I measured our mouth temperature on the hour every hour for a few days, and we plotted a graph on their same graph chart, and there was no dip. Now, if you can maintain body temperature, you're evaporating more water from the lungs, so you're not going to get the fluid buildup in the lungs. You're assisting evaporation from the respiratory tract, which, according to my theory, then helps to drive the circulation, which also increases the body temperature. So what you're actually doing is supporting the whole system by tilting the bed, and again avoiding a respiratory failure. Now, interestingly enough, I went back to the sweating sickness, and I don't know whether I've mentioned this before, but it killed millions and millions of people, and they found that usually if you got the sweating sickness and went to bed, you were dead by morning. So the crafty people decided to place 2 guards by the side of the bed and keep the patient sitting up, and they survived. Now, also, if you go back to the flu epidemic in the First World War, million more people are thought to have died through influenza than were actually killed in the combat. You know, that's quite staggering, really. And there they are, all lined up, and you can see the photographs online. Rows and rows and rows and rows of flatbeds, and patients dying in the millions. You might have thought, well, hang on, if they're dying while they're lying down, maybe they shouldn't be lying down. That would be too simple, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
But the interesting enough as well is there's case histories from accounts of the influenza outbreak, the pandemic, and the nurses are speaking about their own experience. And of course, the nurses were too busy. They were working long shifts. They try and snatch a few hours in between, but they wasn't getting infected. They wasn't picking up the virus. Yeah, I've read some more information about the exacerbation caused by giving people too high a doses of aspirin, which was the only treatment in those days, and that's thought to have caused pulmonary bleeds, which is probably responsible for a lot of the deaths as well. But nevertheless, tilting the beds could have saved a lot of lives.
Well, last night I had the best sleep I've had in a long time now. People who listen to this show regularly and will know that people that know me will know I've been through quite a bit this last couple of weeks, and I've not really been sleeping, and I've not really been eating, and I've not really been doing anything. And last night I decided I've got bed raisers on my bed, little plastic bed raisers, and I thought I'll just get a little bit more of a boost. So under each side, I popped under a copy. I've got loads of these. They used to be in the toilet before the advent of phones, but I've got loads of these like Viz annuals. So I popped one of them underneath the razors. So it just gave me another inch, and I had the best sleep that I've ever had. And you know, that I've had for ages. And I was waking up at sort of 3. In fact, at last Thursday, I went to bed Wednesday night. I think I went to bed about 10:30, and I woke up at 1:15 on Thursday morning, and I couldn't get back to sleep. I could not get back to sleep for the life of me. Now, I didn't wake up at all last night until I needed to. The call of nature woke me up at about 6:15, and I had the best sleep ever. There we go. Andy's got a copy of the Viz there. I've got a few of those.
I remember it.
I've got a few of those annuals. So 2 of them now. It's just added an extra inch, but that extra inch has done a world of good.
Well, of course, if people have got a king size bed, then raising it 6 inches wouldn't give you the 5-degree angle. So you'd have to go a little bit higher. So I mean, my bed's raised about 7.5 inches.
Ah, right. I didn't know that, you see, because I've got a
Yes.
king size bed, and you've never
Well,
mentioned
there
that
you go.
before. I feel a little bit robbed.
You hadn't hit the golden angle.
So
It
how
really
many?
does. It really does make a huge difference. People think, well, I'll just raise my bed 3 inches, and then they write back to you and say, I've tried the angle bed, doesn't work. I've had my bed raised for 3 inches, raised 3 inches for 6 months. It's made no difference. Well, then I say, well, who told you to raise the bed 3 inches, or have you not read anything on the website?
Yeah, well, people do get that though when they say you went on your website and you have given. I think you've given this previously, but you've said raise it 3 inches and then raise it 6. But it's no
Yeah.
good raising it just to 3 inches and then giving up, is it?
No, not at all. No. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the difference I tested the angle with a loop of tubing, and the actual experiment I did, I've put a video up on YouTube, and it's a closed loop of tubing filled with water, and then I added some coloured salt solution to one end of the tube and joined the tube with no air bubbles, and then stretched the tube out in the closed loop of tubing across the mattress, then raised the bed up. When I got to about 4 inches, the coloured salt solution was flowing down one side of the tube, but the clear water was flowing up the same side of the tube over the top of it. So I got a two-directional flow in one side of the tube without causing the overall rotation in the tube. Now, the downside on the coloured salt solution represented the arterial flow, and the clear fluid in the opposite side represented the venous return. So raising the bed up, when I got to about 5.5 inches, and this was on a standard double divan, right, in those days, then the whole loop started to circulate. So I added an extra inch for good measure, and we got to the 5-degree angle. And I thought, this just has to be right, the 5-degree angle. And that was how I arrived at the incline bed therapy angle.
Again, though, I want to explore. I want to explore people's psychology, though, and because this is what's so difficult. I was thinking about this today when I was driving around. I was driving about, and I was thinking about this. I was thinking the way people are conditioned, that something so simple cannot be. It's like everything's backwards. That. It's something so simple can't possibly work, because we've got that saying, if it's too good to be true, it probably is.
Yeah, there is another saying.
Isn't.
There is another saying is anything can make a problem infinitely more complicated, but it takes a touch of genius to go in the opposite direction. I think that was Albert Einstein.
Yeah.
So if you simplify things, then. Yeah, but yeah, you're right. But people will look at this and think, what's that going to do? My doctor's told me to raise the legs up. I've got varicose veins. If I raise my legs up, I'm going to get some relief. But they try it. They might get a bit of temporary relief overnight. But lo and behold, the next morning, the varicose veins are back, and along with the edema that goes with it. And if you tilt the bed the opposite way round, your varicose veins go down and they don't come back. Which is really interesting, and gradually over the months, the improvement is obvious for all to see. In fact, one doctor came round to my home, a lady that we knew, had dogs, so that's how we met her. And she come round and she had a look at my wife's leg, and she'd had a varicose vein there for 16 years. And she said to me, looked me in the face, and she said, that has never been a varicose vein. I said, that's all I wanted to know, doctor. Thank you very much.
Brilliant. Yeah. So, but you see, as well, we're up against. We've still got a generation of people, and we've got a generation of people that will say there'd be something about it on the TV.
Oh, of course.
Or there'd be, but we've now got a generation. We're getting a generation of people who now get their information from the internet. But the internet's now being censored.
Yes,
Do you find you get much censorship on on your Facebook page, in particular your Facebook page, because Facebook seems to be the worst for it. I will post things that I know are directly the innocuous things that to me dad that I know he will laugh his bollocks off at. Right,
Yes.
I know that he'll do that, and when I said to him, I'll say to him when I see him, did you see that? Well, I posted, I've tagged him in it, and I've put it on his, and he's not seen it. So the censorship now that we're seeing on TV is being transferred to the internet. So we're going to need something else soon, aren't we? We're going to need a dark web or something. I know that already exists, but you need to steer people onto it because it's another hurdle for us to go across.
Yeah, I think that the time is coming when we'll have airwaves rather than cables connecting everyone. And I think when that happens, the internet will expand even more and they'll lose even more control. Because I actually think that's coming. Interestingly enough, today, I saw a post from Clive de Call, and all his post said was, go into Google and type white man, white woman in. So I thought, I'll do that. I couldn't find a white man and a white woman in any of the posts on Google. And I'm thinking, hang on, what's going on here? I've asked a question, as Clive de Call obviously did, and other people have done the same. And wall to wall, it's mixed races. So I'm not sure what that tells us, but it's certainly not giving you what you're asking for. I mean, I have no interest in white man, white woman, black man, white woman. It doesn't matter to me. But what does matter is when I type something in that search engine, I want to see what I'm looking for. Now, he also said try it on DuckDuckGo, which is it's supposed to be a search engine that doesn't track you. So I typed in and got exactly the same results.
Yeah, DuckDuckGo uses Google.
Yeah, well, there you go. Yeah.
DuckDuckGo is just like a using Google without actually using Google.
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense.
But Mithrin's had a great idea. He says perhaps sell people a £500 fake sugar pill. Just tell them they must incline the bed in order to make the pill work.
Yeah, they could lie head down and feet up and roll the pill down, couldn't they? And see if they can catch it in the mouth.
Well, if you
I'd have more chance getting them to do that than to tilt the bed the other way around for the health.
So how many people that you've helped have you met, and what sort of responses have you had from them?
Yeah, lots of people. Yeah, Tony Moran knocked on my door. Yeah, came down with his friend. Yeah, the boxer guy. Yeah.
Yeah. I remember Tony Moran. We had a great interview with him. If you can find that on Raconteurs News website, Tony Moran, the boxer. He was a homeless guy, inclined his bed, and became a boxing world champion. A lower level boxing world champion, but nevertheless still a boxing world champion. And he also stood up in between rounds as well, didn't he, rather than sitting down?
He did. I asked Tony to stand in the corner and not to sit down, and that he would avoid the build-up of lactic acid if he'd done that, and also to have his arms down by his side and shake his hands in the corner as if he was shaking water off after washing his hands.
Mm-hmm.
He came out of every single round from that corner like a demon. He won 12. He fought 12 hard rounds with Sandy Robb, who was no mug. Sandy Robb was quite tasty in the ring, but Tony outmatched him, and he was running round in round 12 with as much energy as he came out in round 1.
Were you at that fight?
No, I've only watched it on the YouTube.
It's available on YouTube. So if anybody types in Tony Moran.
But more interesting than that, Jace, is his old fights are on there as well. So you can study his technique and his performance. And at the age of 37, Tony said, my boxing career is over. He said, I can't continue. Now, he goes in at age 42 and he's dancing around like a jumping bean.
I'm interested to know where we'll be able to find that that YouTube video of Tony Moran's fight, because I'd like to watch that as well.
Yeah,
I'm sure.
Tony,
I think Andy's going to have a search for it now. I think that's what he's doing. I hope that's what he's doing to pop it in chat room, because it'd be very interesting to see.
well, I think, I mean, I'd be a biased judge, but I think he won every round.
Mm. And he became a world champion.
Yes.
Are you still in touch with him? How's he doing now?
Yeah, he's doing great. He's actually filling in the form for me on Dr. Tor's website. So, yeah, we still keep in touch. Also, he's every boxer that he's trained so far, he's advising them all to put the beds on an angle.
Andy's just popped in our Skype chat here. He's just saying Tony is after doing another world title, this time in MMA, I think. I think
mixed martial arts, yeah.
Yeah, mixed martial arts, which is unforgiving, really unforgiving. But that would be quite some achievement. What about some other people? Other people that you've met that that have invited you, perhaps. I know Andy's invited. Andy's coming down to see you with Tina. I mean, I couldn't be, more. I couldn't be more thankful, and I know my wife couldn't be more thankful. What about some of the other people? What sort of other feedback and people that you've met?
I've met quite a lot of people over the years. Yeah. Initially, when I was working with people with multiple sclerosis, I met all of the people because I hadn't got the internet in those days. So that's how it all started off. All we had was the local media, radio stations broadcasted, and even a television appearance. So in the old days, I met a lot of people. But today, to reach a lot more people in different countries, it's usually done online. I'm trying to think of the guy, David. Oh, I forgot his name. Dear, oh dear. Oh,
we don't need to know his full name. Just tell us his story.
Well, just David come down and he come down to meet me and travel down from up north, way up north. And I got talking to David, and he was overcome and he started crying. He couldn't believe what he was hearing. And he's had his bed inclined ever since, and that was back in the late 90s. Hello? I can't talk, Bob. You'll have to call back later. All right.
He's just on the phone.
All right, cheers. Yeah.
Just in case you didn't know. Live radio, ladies and gentlemen. It's live radio. It's Raconteurs News. Well, sorry, it's Raconteurs Extra on the Raconteurs Network. And Andrew looks like he's been called away for something. So I'm just going to carry on. I'm going to, I'm just going to say anybody who wants to watch that, we've popped that in the chat room, the Sandy Robb versus Tony Moran World Championship fight. It's in the chat room. It'll be on the write-up as well. While he's away, let's just talk about a couple of other things. It seems... Oh, hang on. He's back. He might be back. He is back.
Just gone looking for the missus and I can't find her either.
All right. Hey,
it is live.
No problem, Andrew. This is live radio, everybody.
It's definitely live. Yeah.
Live radio. So listen, you've saved me from having to explain to everybody what this sex thing is covering up at the moment. The sex scandals all over the world. But anyway, you were saying we were talking about David.
Yeah, yeah. He came down and he was just overcome. He was just in tears. He was. And I had another David come down. Quite a few people have visited me over the years, knocked on the door and, will give me a ring and say, can I come down and meet you? Yeah, it's always interesting.
Yeah, and Andy's on his way down in the near future as well, aren't he?
Oh, there you go.
I wonder if Andy would like to, just perhaps live his mic. I know it's not his thing, but live his mic and just sort of have a bit of a word about what Andrew's done for your life?
Yeah, I'm always happy to talk to Andrew. Yeah, we're going to drive about 5.5 hours to see him. So, but of all the people we've come across in the, I suppose it must be 4.5 years since I started, maybe 5 years since I started talking on the radio. Nobody has changed. No, not just changed, improved my life and Tina's life like Andrew has. We've took on board a lot of things that we've learned from people, and we've had some. I'm getting told I need more volume from Mithrin, so yeah, we've took on board a lot of therapies, treatments, ideas that people have come up with, and yeah, we've improved our health massively. But the big one is Andrew, you know, and it's just changed our life beyond belief, like it has yours, Jason. You know, I remember looking at you. We were really concerned for you after that last heart attack. You said you were waiting to die. We were kind of half expecting it, and I'll never forget the first time I spoke to you on Skype after you'd inclined your bed. Tina walked through with a cup of tea. And, oh, sorry, I'm inaudible there. Tina walked through with a cup of tea, and she nearly dropped the cup of tea. She went, "Oh, my God, is that Jason?" Because she said it looks just like his twin brother who's just come back from Spain. And I just want to meet Andrew, give him a big hug, and thank him properly for what he's done for us.
Cheers for that, Andy. Brilliant. Thank you very much. I don't know how much of that was audible, but there were a little bit of complaining going on in the chat room, particularly from Mithrin. But anyway, I'll give you the general gist. Shall I? Andy really, 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 really likes to thank Andrew, and they're going to and so they're going to drive 5.5 hours down to Somerset, and then they were a bit about me looking like a skeleton and then not looking like a skeleton. So that's the overview. We're back, Andrew.
Yeah, that was nice, and yeah, I mean, it's great helping people like you that can actually. Well, you've helped me. You've helped me as much as I've helped you. It's been great.
I don't think it's quite as much.
Well, to me,
We've helped you as much as we possibly can. But I don't think it's been as much.
Well,
Believe
I've
me.
helped as much as I possibly can. So it's touche.
So what's? Let's get back to this study. How long's this going on for? And,
well, he wants it to run for a minimum of 4 weeks, but there's no extended. There's no deadline to end the study. So he wants to see what happens initially over 4 weeks, with a view to people continuing and providing him feedback over longer periods. But of course, he's already got people that have been sleeping inclined, some of them for 15, 20 years, to give him feedback. So hopefully that counts for something in the study.
Yeah. Okay. Well. There were another question, and I just read a comment in the. This is what, when you're not a radio presenter, you're just like some dude that just decides to go and spill his beans all over the internet on a couple of times a week. You get these times where I just got a question in my head, and then it just fell out and went everywhere. And but God.
They call them brain farts, Jace.
Do you know, I must have brain wind then, because all I've done is fart. In fact, I've probably shit me brain, knowing me, after the Morrison's incident that happened. Well, you'll have to go back to the podcast from Monday night's show to know what that one's all about. So what's what were we going to say? Blah 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 blah. What's next?
What's next? Well, hopefully the study will do it. The study will open up more doors. But there's interestingly enough, again, there's a biker group just contacted me, and they're called Bikers with MS from Plymouth. and they've just found out about incline bed therapy. So they're very excited and want me to talk to them, and they want to find out more about it. So I've directed them to the website where they can hear the interviews, and hopefully I know bikers, they're good lads, and they have a little bit of tenacity, and they ain't really scared of much. So there could be a good bunch of people to get to conduct a little bit of a study, which will repeat the first and second pilot studies in multiple sclerosis, where we had absolutely unprecedented results. You know, we got people out of wheelchairs, throwing away walking sticks, regaining their eyesight, sensation coming back, drop foot improving. Amazing results out of a small group of people. And the the two main charities, which then was the Multiple Sclerosis Resource Centre from Essex and the MS Society, made again lots and lots of promises, saw the results for themselves, and then fobbed me off, saying there was nothing they could do.
That's the brick wall that you've been up against. But hopefully, this study that's going on, that may be something that's going to snowball, and maybe one day the name Andrew K. Fletcher will be in medical books read by billions of medical students all over the world. Let's hope so, eh?
No, what's most likely to happen is some doctors will steal my research and claim it to be their own, which is already happening all over the internet.
As a final question, because I think we're just going to perhaps go over a little bit, but as a final question, Andy was pointing at his eyes, so I'm thinking he wants me to ask you about the distilled water, the eyesight thing. Yeah,
well, not a lot being done. Couldn't get a lot of volunteers to try it, so again, it fell on deaf ears.
Right.
Yeah, I haven't got cataracts, so I can't really attest for myself. But there's a lady on the forum now who's trying it, and she's got cataracts. So she's only been going at it for about a week now. So we'll have to wait and see what the results are. So we did actually find someone with cataracts willing to try it. Again,
well, Andy said he did it, and his eyesight improved no end. So
really?
If anybody wants to have a look on that, really, he's just indicated that to me on Skype. So he's just indicated that to me that it worked for him. So if anybody wants to have a look, is it on the Incline Bed Therapy website?
It's on the forum. I've posted because it's a bit off topic to the main context of the site. So I've posted it in the forum on the website, which is easy to find. It's easy to find. There's a search engine on the website. So if you just type in cataracts, you'll find it. Right.
So you'd encourage anybody that's sleeping inclined or thinking of sleeping inclined or to sleep inclined anyway, but give their feedback to this study that's going on. So what's your website?
It's called inclinedbedtherapy.com.
Inclinedbedtherapy.com.
Yeah.
And there'll be all the links to everything that you need to know there. Yeah. We'll stick a link to that anyway in the program notes. Well, listen, I want to say thank you very much. Very short notice, I know, but thank you very much for coming on and doing an hour with us tonight, Andrew. It's been an absolute pleasure, as it always is. I don't probably, if it weren't for you, I don't know if I'd still be sat here now. So
that's amazing, yeah.
Yeah,
and
it is.
Of course, we're still waiting to hear back from the AIDS patients in Africa. So again, I'll need to chase them up to find out what's happening there.
Well, as soon as you do, you let us know. Give us a shout anytime you want to come on. Anytime at all you want to come on. The door is open. The floor, and I'm not. We don't do sycophancy on here, but I'm being sycophantic. Anyway, thank you very much, Andrew K. Fletcher. Right, next week, Monday from 7 till 8, it's Raconteurs 2. It'll be me again, and then Raconteurs News will return back on Tuesday from 7 till 9. Not got guests lined up as of yet, but I'm telling you, I'm going to tell you we've got something absolutely huge on the horizon, and hopefully, if everything works out, we're going to be having the exclusive of that. So that's something to look forward to. It's going to be happening perhaps in the next couple of weeks. We need to clear up some legal details, shall we say. But in the next couple of weeks, there's perhaps going to be something really, really huge here on Raconteurs News. We're going to be breaking it as well. Again, get well soon, Patrick. I hope you're okay. I hope you're listening. Get well soon, and Patrick's family, I hope you're all okay. And so thank you very much for listening. Thank you, Andrew K. Fletcher, and thank you to you most importantly for listening. If it wasn't for you, I'd just be talking to myself and Hey Dardy.
Thanks for listening, guys.
Get the wiggies cause I'm off to the hole in the road. I'm wagging off school and I'm off to the city, watching telly all night and I'm not looking pretty. See, I got this job downtown, selling knocked off ladies watches for £1. For a really dodgy man that I met in a dodgy cafe. You know, he said to me, the girl who sold these yesterday wasn't selling very carefully. Police came along and took her and all my watches away. So if you see some coppers, you grab my stuff and leg it, boy, right away. I'll be in the cafe. I'm just a boy from Sheffield, making his way through life. I'm just a boy from Sheffield, making his way. I'm just a boy from Sheffield, making his way through life. I'm just a boy from Sheffield, making his way. Spent a few hours and I haven't sold enough for my bus fare home. Street selling's pretty tough, so I turn on the charm for the lunchtime rush with a smile and a wiggle of my schoolboy touch. So the charm is working in the underground. There's a crowd of men and women gather round, and the watches they are going, the money is a flowing. Think I'll take a little extra, stick it in my pocket, spend you later. I'm just a boy from Sheffield, making his way through life. I'm just a boy from Sheffield, making his way. I'm just a boy from Sheffield, making his way through life. I'm just a boy from Sheffield, making his way. I haven't sold a watch for an hour and I'm dying for a slash. I've had enough of this, so I'm off for a piss. Then a quick walk back round to the cafe. Sitting at his table drinking tea, looks at me suspiciously. Then with a glance at the watch he says, how did you do? He paid me a couple of quid, then he said, would you like to come and work another day? I said I'd come back down on Friday, and to that he said okay. So with £2 in my pocket and another 5 in my shoe, I nipped down to Castle Market where a man who looks like Leo Sayer is selling pots with cockles and prawns. You make me feel like dancing. Then off back to dinner on the Wiggies and then home. I'm just a boy from Sheffield, making his way. I'm just a boy from Sheffield, making his way. I'm just a boy from Sheffield, making his way. I'm just a boy from Sheffield, making his way. I'm just a boy from Sheffield, making his way. I'm just a boy from Sheffield, making his way. I'm just a boy from Sheffield, making his way. I'm just a boy from Sheffield, making his way. I'm just a boy from Sheffield, making his way. I'm just a boy from Sheffield, making his way. I'm just a boy from Sheffield, making his way. I'm just a boy from Sheffield, making his way. I'm just a boy from Sheffield, making his way. I'm just a boy from Sheffield, making his way. I'm just a boy from Sheffield, making his way. I'm just a boy from Sheffield.